Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Boy, we have an exciting update for you today. So Tesla just came out with a great update for the Cybertruck, which changed two things on the Cybertruck, which I think you're really going to like. Number one, they changed the suspension. Well, you know the suspension on the Cybertruck can go up and down already. But what you have now is the ability to raise it remotely from your cell phone. This could have, well, quite a few possibilities, I think. The second thing they did was adjust the steer-by-wire system in the vehicle. So now you're supposed to be able to feel the road a little bit better. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a few moments. Don't forget to look in the description below to see how you can get some great discounts on Tesla accessories. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you again in a moment. Hey everybody, and welcome back. So we have the ride height adjustment that we got in the new update. And what this update now allows you to do is to remotely control the ride height on the Cybertruck, which I think, you know what, I think it's pretty cool that it can go up and down all on its own now via the app. Because truth be told, I have been sitting in the back of the truck on an occasion when I need the truck to be raised up for a variety of reasons, whether or not it was for something to be raised or whether or not I needed the truck lowered because I just needed to jump up in the back of the truck real fast. So I have actually wanted this feature. So the question becomes, well, okay, how do we activate this? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna go ahead into your Tesla app, and once it's connected via Bluetooth, and be sure you have your phone key set up, you're going to go to controls, and then you're going to swipe up when you see the vehicle, and you're going to see these sets of options pop up that you did not have before. It's going to say ride height, and you can change it between high, medium, low, or entry, just like you do on your dynamics page on the main screen inside the vehicle. It works the exact same way. Funny enough, it also works with off-road. So if you were putting it in off-road mode, instead of high, medium, low entry, you will then have the options of high, very high, and extract. So it works that way as well. Now, I wish you could put it in off-road mode remotely. I have not been able to find a way to do that yet. But if it's already in off-road mode, you can raise and lower it that way as well. So in theory, if you have a buddy that's out spotting you while you're out driving the vehicle, then I guess he could raise it up for you if he's watching out for you. That's one way of doing it. You never know. I did not test whether or not you have to actually be in park for it to work, but it probably does if I have to hazard a guess. Either case, the system works very well, being able to remotely control the ride height of the vehicle. So now, when you're hauling all that stuff outside, and if your truck is normally in a high position, you can just use the app to lower it down without even getting in the truck. So, A+ on this feature. I really like it. Let me know what you think, and let me know what your scenarios might be for this that you could use it for. I need some ideas here. Help me out. So we're going to take a look at the steer-by-wire system here in the Cybertruck. And quite honestly, I've loved the steering in here. If you don't understand how a steer-by-wire system actually works, then a good refresher will be in order. So let me go ahead and explain that real quick. You see, most cars you see have a steering wheel that's connected to the car's wheels by a bunch of metal parts working together. Kind of like how the handlebars on your bike are connected to the front wheel. When you turn the wheel, these parts physically push and pull the wheels to make the car turn. However, the Tesla Cybertruck does things a bit differently with something called steer-by-wire. Think of it as a super advanced video game. In a game, when you move the joystick to turn the steering wheel controller, it doesn't directly move the characters or cars on the screen. Instead, It sends an electronic signal through a wire to the game console, which then tells the game characters what to do. The Cybertruck's steering works in a similar way. When the driver turns the steering wheel, it sends an electronic message through the wires to the car's computer. This computer, which you can think of as the car's brain, then tells small electric motors attached to the wheels exactly how much and in which direction to turn. So there's no direct metal connection between the steering wheels and the wheels like in most other cars. This allows for some really cool possibilities. The new ability to feel the road through the steering wheel actually makes driving even better in several ways. For starters, it gives the driver a better sense of what the car is doing. Think of it like when you're riding your bike and you can feel if your tires are losing grip on the ground. It helps you stay in control and avoid falling. The force feedback in the Cybertruck helps the driver feel more connected to the road and steer more accurately. It can also make driving safer. If the car starts to slide or if there's a sudden change in the road surface, the force feedback can give the driver a little warning in the steering wheel, allowing them to react more quickly. For many drivers who are used to cars with a more traditional steering wheel, this force feedback makes the Cybertruck feel more familiar and natural to drive. It helps bridge the gap between the old way of steering and the new electronic method. Okay, so there you have it. I drove around with the new steer-by-wire system. You know what? Here's what I've come to the conclusion of. If you are wanting that nice sports car feel, like a BMW, Mercedes, AMG, things of that nature, that's who this is designed for. I mean, it really does make you feel like you are in touch with the road, as though you can take those hard corners and you can power the vehicle through the corners and things of that nature. That's what it feels like. It really does. But there's a downside to that. One of the reasons why folks love the Cybertruck so much is because it does not handle like a 7,000-pound truck. It doesn't have that heavy, weighty feel to the wheel that, frankly, tires you out over time. Well, they've kind of artificially put that back in my opinion. And by doing so, I think they lessen the quality of the experience of the Cybertruck by doing that. Because, as I said, for folks like myself that just want to casually drive, I don't think this is an improvement for us, because now I have to do more work in the turning of the steering wheel. Whereas before it was very light to the touch, I could steer it with one finger with no problem. It was just, I don't know, a lot more work than what it used to be. So as far as this update is concerned, I think if you are looking for that great sports car feel and that handling, this is great. I think they nailed it in that regard. But if you're actually just looking to, just have a nice leisurely drive and make the truck easy to drive, I don't think it did anything to help that at all. In fact, it did quite the opposite. My arms are feeling a little bit more tension than what they normally do when I'm driving the vehicle. That's the truth of the matter. So, Tesla team, if you're listening, take this note. Put a switch in the driving options or the dynamics to turn this feature on or off, or at the very least, be able to calibrate, how much steering feel is put into the steering wheel. Much like you've done with the other Model 3s and things of that nature, you can calibrate how heavy the wheel feels. This one setting, no, I don't think it works. If I had my way, I would go back to my previous setting if I had a choice, truth be told. I'm not saying don't do the update. I'm not saying do that at all. But what I am saying is that Tesla needs to put an option somewhere in the menu to turn this off so that, we could go back to having a nice leisurely drive. But other than that, it handles great. It really does feel like a nice tight sports car feel going around the curves and around the corners and things of that nature. So it gets an A for that. But in terms of everyday driving, just want to have a nice driving Miss Daisy drive? No. We've spent a lot of years, decades, trying to perfect the power steering system to get as much of the pressure off of the steering wheel as possible. Doesn't work for sports cars, but for nice leisurely drives, that's what we've strived for, and you've just taken that away from us. And that's it in a nutshell. So for some folks, like I said, you're really going to love this. Other folks, not so much. In any case, I hope you really enjoyed the show. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to like and subscribe, and look in the description below to see how you get some great discounts off of other Tesla accessories. I'll see you again soon. Peace.